education in motion, education through
Very
experience,
true, very true,
and you
very
really
true.
can't, and that's something that will always change you, transform you, and you can't go back from it once you've done it, the exposure of travel. So
I think so. I keep telling whatever people ask me, interview me, and they ask me as, what would you like to advise young people in the space? I said, look, guys, you got to travel. I travel to all the beauty fairs in the world, and I've been doing so for the past dozen years. People tell me, don't you get bored? I said, no. Every time you go, you pick up one new learning. That's growth for you. And if you sit cocooned in your safety net, then it's going to be very difficult for you to go, especially in the world of beauty.
welcome back to another episode of Success Decoded. I'm Taylor Elizabeth, and today we explore what truly defines success through honest conversations, quiet resilience, and the moments that shape who we become. Behind the glossy storefront is a story of quiet reinvention, relentless consistency, and deep emotional intelligence. Today's guest, Samir Srivastav, stands tall in the beauty industry with nearly 3 decades of leadership across brands like VLCC, Kaya Skin Clinics, and Mariko. He is now the CEO of Looks Salon, having successfully led expansions across India, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, and in the process paved the way for the way we perceive the business of beauty and wellness. Let's decode the journey of the man behind the mirror. Well, welcome, Samir. I'm so happy that you're here. This is going to be a phenomenal conversation that I am sure of. I always love hearing a successful story, a successful business story, but one that is potentially unexpected or that's going to maybe push some boundaries. So I'm always happy to hear that. So welcome. Thank you for being
Thank you
here.
for having me. It's such a pleasure seeing you. And I should be welcoming you to India. But I believe you've been here for many years now.
I have, yeah, it's been, I think we're going on my 15th year. 15 years ago, I started coming here. I know it's been some time, but I love it. I couldn't, India's a beautiful place and it's the energy of it is nothing.
Yeah, I think if expats or foreigners like you, if you love the place, then it just grows on you phenomenally.
Exactly. Yeah, it feels like home now at this
Well,
point.
thank you for having me once again.
So thank you. So let me start with, how did a young man from BIT Mesra with a management degree land in beauty, wellness, and lifestyle? Let me ask the hardest question first. We'll
Yeah,
get into
sure,
everything
sure,
else.
sure. So just reflecting back to those years when I was much younger, just out of business school. So I belong to a services background. My entire paternal side and the maternal side were army officers, and all our cousins went into that space. I think I got sick of the whole uniform, seeing so many uniforms and so much of discipline around you and lack of any creativity, or it was all very, very tight. 8 o'clock in the morning and uniforms, and travel every 3 years. You go to new places where when your dad gets posted here, make new friends, new schools, new colleges. So I think that has been a real foundation of my journey or my leap into a non-services business, non-services profile. And after business school, I had an option to either sell computers. I said I don't want to do that. I chose the world of FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, as they call. So I was selling ghee. Okay, then, okay. I was selling skim milk powder, and then from there I moved to one of the largest companies, and that company has been really the foundation of my whatever I am, and I owe them a lot. It's a company called Marico, which is India's largest hair oil, packaged hair oil company. They make some wonderful products. Many years ago, when I worked for them, when I joined them, I used to sell a brand called Parachute Coconut Oil. It's a blue bottle, extremely popular with Indians, and very, very good range of products. So that's the whole FMCG journey, which started many years ago. And that took me places all over India. So I think it was just a continuation of my services background. So I was working in every 1.5 years, I would get posted out to another location. And I think it was a part of the whole induction process to move into bigger things in life.
Yes, definitely. I think probably moving around a lot too. You became very curious, I would think, very used to change in a way, so that it does. You're not so afraid of it because nobody likes change in a fundamental way. Some people have less resistance to it or more, but if you are forced to move every 3 years, you have so much exposure. So maybe you weren't getting the creativity at home, but you're going to have a lot of diversity, a lot of creativity, a lot of different kind of experiences, which I'm sure also has like led you to this kind of.
No, I think absolutely right. What happens is when you, and it gives you confidence, when you go to a new place, either you're very, you're intimidated by the whole thing, but, God was kind enough and parents were so very supportive. So go out, make new friends, make new place, meet new people, new culture. I mean, India is such a large country, so we would post it from the south to the north, to the east, to the west, and every new state would be every new posting for my dad would be, I mean, new school would be something new, and that continued, like I said, in my early parts of my career. And that's been a great foundation. And travel, to me, according to me, is a very, very strong education.
I think it's the best education. Like, is it's education in motion, education through
Very true,
experience,
very
and
true,
you
very true.
really can't, and that's something that will always change you, transform you, and you can't go back from it once you've done it, the exposure of travel. So
I think so. I keep telling whatever people ask me or interview me, and they ask me as, "What would you like to advise young people in the space?" I said, "Look, guys, you got to travel." I, I mean, I travel to all the beauty fairs in the world, and I've been doing so for the past dozen years. People tell me, "Don't you get bored?" I said, "No. Every time you go, you pick up one new learning. That's growth for you. And but if you sit cocooned in your safety net, then it's going to be very difficult for you to go, especially in a world of beauty. You know."
it feels very comfortable, if you will, but it's actually really limiting you. And even if you pick up just one thing on all those things, you're also growing immensely in the subconscious in ways you're not even fully aware.
Yes, I mean, look at the fact that whether you're the gentleman or the lady sitting next to you on the aircraft, or at the airport when you're looking at people, the way they dress, the way the way makeup is done, the way hair is kept. When you walk into duty free, see the kind of product which are on display. I think it's tremendous education, tremendous. Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
And if you have the curiosity for it, which you
Oh
clearly
yes,
do, which is a
absolutely, I
huge
do.
part. I
Yeah.
think that's a huge code decoding success is curiosity, right? Curiosity, exposure, and challenging yourself so you can build confidence, because that's exactly what you've done, even in that brief description of what you've told us. It is difficult though. They say managing people is the hardest thing. It is the hardest. And I would have to say also, as somebody that's had employees all over the world and still now do, it is the hardest thing to manage people, probably because it takes quite a bit of personal development, quite a bit of self-awareness to be able to manage others and develop that. Can you talk a little bit about, especially from somebody that, even though I think you're quite creative yourself, but you're not a hairdresser, like you said, or you're not a technician, a beauty technician, for example. So how do you inspire, how do you manage, how do you create those structures to support people from mindset, especially that maybe you don't relate to professionally?
One of the values that I always cherished has been consistency, and it's not something which is glamorous, but it is something that I've personally built my individual brand and my work philosophy on that. All through the years, whether I'm with organization A, organization B, or whatever, every day, the way you approach human beings, the way you approach your customer, the way you approach your salon team, the way you approach your brand partners, if they see a consistent behavior in the leader, it makes a lot of difference. And that's what builds a lot of trust. When they see Samir talking the same thing consistently over the years, I've had people who are working with me for 14, 15 years. And I say, guys, you don't get bored. They say, no, you don't get bored. So we trust you because you're so, it's repetitive, but there's a very simple thing to do, but just be, because that, according to me, will build trust. If they see you day in and day out, and you got to be there. You can't, these businesses are not operated on from the back end. I don't have an office. Let me be very candid about this. My salons are my office. Every day I go to a salon. Every day I meet people, I meet customers, I meet my workforce, my team, right from the valet to the housekeeping staff and to the customers. Every morning you learn something or the other.
It's a constant growth
Oh,
journey.
yes, absolutely.
I
Especially
think
the beauty.
it's also very smart too, because you're present, right? So you're present, and also creating anything, human relationships, and there's a lot of psychology and a lot of emotional intelligence.
And
What
they
you're
would
talking
not
about.
lie in a back end office, honestly. I'm
No.
not running a software company. I'm not running a manufacturing company where I have to be on the factory or the work. My work, my business is in flow. Yeah, I want to know who did your nails,
Yeah.
or where is your son today,
Yeah.
or how well has your daughter done in the exam that you brought her here for a haircut.
Yes.
Things like this you keep learning,
Yeah.
and you keep implementing these in making these big business mantras.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
True. It does. It does affect you. And also it's the human connection, right? The humanity, the human
Very
connection,
true.
the
Very true.
experience, because you are in fact creating a beautiful experience. You have products and you have services, but it's really the experience that you're trying
Actually,
to
you're
create.
right.
Yeah, it's the experience. Okay, so let's talk about that experience, the beauty experience,
Yeah.
because it is this industry shift from what you were speaking about before. So was that an instinct or an opportunity or a combination of the both?
I think it was an opportunity, and which our company, which a company I mentioned, was evaluating new frontiers, and they were looking at how to reduce the dependency on FMCG. India, as a beauty market, was just beginning to open up, so they did a couple of experiments. One of them worked very successfully. That led to the setup of a cosmetic dermatology chain brand called Kaya, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of the startup team of that, which grew into a 100 clinic business, very very large, very very efficacious, and India's very loved brand. I was sent to run the international business because maybe the promoter saw something in me that he's been there, and I think it also reflects back to my early childhood or to my background when he said he keeps moving, so he's familiar with movement and he's not worried about that. Yes, and so I was sent to the Middle East and North Africa markets, and I traveled every country of MENA, right down till Sudan or in kind of places, and that gives you a lot of learnings. And so that was my entry into the beauty space, and to work in a market like Dubai, which is so evolved and so highly, that consumption of beauty is tremendous. And I'm talking 20 years ago, not even talking now. I mean, we would have 17, 18-year-old girls walking in and wanting a Botox job to be done, but we would end up rejecting them because that's not the ethics of the business. But those days were those days.
No,
now
now
it's
it's a little
very
different.
different.
Now it's
So I
very
think it was I was put into this space. It was a bit difficult initially. First year I couldn't understand anything about it, but then you go back to the drawing board, go back on your fundamentals, start spending time with people, respecting the other side and learning from them, and not trying to force your way. Be a good listener, listen to them, understand their art, respect their creativity, and then give them a little structure. And then I started. I mean, I actually fell in love with the whole beauty businesses, and then, well, it's been a long time since then.
Yeah. So what I pulled out of that is the active listening part. So really listening to understand something, especially when maybe you feel really out of your depth. So if you want to give our listeners like one tip from this period where you transitioned into an industry that was quite different than what you were used to, and you probably felt, I mean, behind the curve or maybe even like deep end of the pool, however you want to say, because you don't know the environment, if you will, the ecosystem you're not familiar with. What would you say is a one tip of Success Decoded in those moments where you feel really out of your depth? Like, where do you start to find your footing? How did you do that?
I think I was very candid enough to tell my team that I don't know anything about this business. I've come to help you grow the business. I was dealing with professional dermatologists, doctors. Their DNA is completely different. They're healers to the world. God's been very kind to them. So making them understand the commercial part of it, not easy. Working with almost like it was like the Emirates Airlines. I had crew from almost, what, 30 countries. You had Filipinos, you had very good workers, you had the Lebanese, you had the Egyptians because of the language, you had Indians who used to work in supply chain, finance, inventory, front end. So it was like running a very large, and you've got to be real to them because you have to adapt to their culture. Every individual, every nationality is different. So you can't build a system which is an India forward system or something else. You have to relate to them and be candid. And look, I'm a foreigner. I don't know anything. But here, let's make it grow together. So I think being real in front of them, talking to them, understanding, taking an attempt to understand what a Filipino culture is, or traveling to that land, or understanding what is the significance behind Ramadan, and what is the kind of what is how is the Arab woman, or how is the Arab man. Those things, if you be genuine in your attempt to understand cultures, and be real to them, and then they embrace you very openly, rather than force your ways. So I think that's something which I'd like to share with the listeners, is to be real, and tell them that, I mean, it's not there's no harm in saying, look, if you don't understand, we're happy to learn and happy to grow it together. I think if you show them the vision, and yet you say that you guys are leading, I'm here to support you. That's it. Put them in front. Don't try to replace them. Yeah, I'm going to do it my way. No.
Yeah, so that's authenticity. That's authenticity, which is fantastic. Also, it's something I live by. One of the codes that I live by, which is meeting people where they are, not where you expect them to be or want them to be, or where they actually are. So it's two human beings meeting where they actually are, so that you can both succeed in whatever it is you're trying to do. But I think also there's a big point there is you really have to you have to learn and train yourself to leave your ego aside, because which is your hype. That's when you're actually the most intelligent, is when you're able to put that aside and say, you know what, I don't know this, and that's okay. I don't know this, or you don't know this. It's okay. You don't know it. We're going to learn it together. So that's huge. That's leadership.
And I think something it's a recently coined word of late, which is called FOMO. So I don't believe in that. It's okay. Whatever I have is I have. I don't want to build businesses which is based on FOMO.
Yeah. Actually, I have this conversation with many people. In fact, recently, that I actually don't have any fear of missing out on anything. I've never had any fear of missing out. I don't even understand the concept. I actually have this thing called JOMO, which is the joy of missing out on things.
That's a new one.
Yeah. It's a good one. Okay. What are some of the lesser known challenges you've faced leading brands like VLCC and JCB, especially managing cross border teams like in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and the Middle East? What are the challenges?
I think it's what I would say is that the whole beauty industry was just about beginning to blossom in India. So, and internet was not that popular at that point of time. So there was a very high level of trust between the beautician and the hairdresser and the slimming therapist and the dermatologist, which had to be built on interpersonal relationships and communication. There was no Instagram then when this whole business was done. There was no internet. You could Google your way then. I mean, it was still early days of the net. So being genuine, going back to the drawing board, reading about what is happening in technology, attending medical conferences, uh, adapting your product to the need of the culture. For example, Dubai was very challenging because you have 200 nationalities living there. So offering a cosmetic treatment to an American versus a British versus an Arab lady is very, very different, So you've got to relate to them. Very important to understand what the whole structure is all about, what is that they're seeking. And often it leads to a lot of listening. And it's a lot of listening because internationally you can't communicate. How will you advertise something in Dubai? You can't, because 200 languages are there. There's an Albanian lady, she wants to come and get a facial done, but we can't advertise in the language of that. So if it's Arab, then I can't read Arabic. So it becomes very challenging. So the very strong ability to relate to people, understand their culture, what makes them tick, what are they seeking, what are they really seeking, and are we able to deliver that or not? And if you're not able to deliver, be candid enough to say, no, I cannot, rather than overpromise and goof up, we don't believe in that. No, I've never allowed that. I've lost businesses. I've told people, let go, but do not overcommit. If you can't do a great job, because the word of mouth, you're building the business on word of mouth. Very critical. Yeah.
This is what I was about to say, is that word of mouth, because you're talking about pre-Instagram, pre-internet, if you will, those kind of things. How do you do it? How do you create a brand there? How do you make space there? You have to have word of mouth, and the word of mouth needs to be really speaking to the quality and to making sure that those people feel seen, heard, and safe. So your clients need to feel seen, heard, and emotionally safe in their space. And you're doing that by understanding your client.
I'll tell you incidents. I mean, I'm obviously not going to take any names, but people would come, women would come, and they would talk to the doctors, the dermatologists, and the conversations would go into personal lives. And if I didn't if I didn't build a culture where I would tell my people to have a listening ear, then they would just be very clinical and say, okay, 20 minutes consultation time is up, off you go. No, allow them, let consultation, let people warm up, let people speak. So what if she's speaking about her a bit of insecurities in life and stuff like that, or whatever personal challenge that individual is going up? It's okay. She's come here to a salon or to a clinic for and something which is external beauty. But external beauty will only till the time you're beautiful from inside, till the time you end up releasing everything. How much of amount of outer beauty can I do?
Yes,
I can't.
I would like to second that. That's an amazing takeaway for everybody watching today from a beauty expert, a leader in it. It's your internal beauty has to be there first before any external beauty. You cannot do anything to the outside to really create beauty. It comes from the
Beyond
inside.
Beyond a point, you can't, honestly. No. Yeah. So internal beauty is all about, of course, today we are seeing everything. But I'm talking about 15, 18 years ago when the brands that I started working for were getting built. I think uh, this was the one mantra, or this was the one journey that we spoke about. That, of course, healthy eating is all something which we are witnessing now. I mean, of course, Whole Foods was there in the US for many years, but I think the trend has really gone up now in the past 7, 8 years of the internet boom, and people have started becoming conscious. Because honestly, it's what you eat, how you take care of your health, how whether you have a fitness regime or not, is going to reflect on your skin, is going to reflect on your hair and on your nails, on everything, and your overall structure. So there's only X that I can do. I mean, you and me. You won't need to be beautiful. Both of us have to be in the journey.
Yes,
It's a
exactly.
partnership.
It is a partnership, absolutely. And I think allowing that space for them to say those things, because your technicians or your doctors are going to learn about the other person, about a situation, which is both useful to them in their profession, but also probably about themselves as well.
I'll give you an example. If in a company we're treating acne or we're treating pigmentation, it is what you eat. It's what you consume. Why do you eat sugar? Or why do you eat junk food? It is it's something that is really letting you do that. Whether you're eating out of stress or whether you're eating out of joy, that is what. So you got to understand that, and then help the individual on that. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with my workforce, with of course with customers, and also it's not about doing a hair blow dry or doing a hair color. It's all about your personality, how it suits you, what is that you're looking for yourself, what is that you're wearing, what is that you're seeking. Then I will design a hair color which suits, which just adds to your confidence. But the confidence has to come from within you. I can't, stuff that into you.
No, you can support it.
I can only
And
support.
you can amplify it.
That's
it has
our
to
job.
come from
That's
inside.
our job, just to amplify it.
Yeah, exactly. It has to come from inside. This is the self-awareness, the consciousness, and the choice to amplify, and then taking external steps outside. So, okay, so now the CEO of Looks Salon. So, congrats, fantastic. You're leading one of India's most prominent salon chains. What's something about running salons that most people wouldn't expect or understand?
Okay. Well, first of all, I must give credit to the promoter family, which is based in Delhi, who's built this business. The individual called Sanjay Datta. He is the guy behind the 230 odd salons that we have in the 35-year-old journey. All credit to him and the family. I've come on board as a professional in the last 2.5 years, trying to build a slightly differentiated approach, not re-engineering a whole thing, because we don't want to re-engineer, but just taking up some parts of India which is away from the management expertise, to building newer parts of newer geographies for the brand. Bombay is a very crucial market for us. We've not been successful in Bombay in the past, but last 2 years, God's been kind, customers have been kind, and things are looking good for us. That's the reason why we're building newer markets in newer geographies. Uh, I think the salon business is easy, for sure. But today, you have to be very careful. The cost of failure is extremely high. It looks very easy to jump into it. But honestly, and I've seen in Europe where a lot of creative are, in the US, where a lot of creative hairdressers open their own salons. But they will never be able to build an institution. They might be successful in one or two, maximum three. For them, God's gifted them with creativity. Leave the business side aside to to businessmen like us. So it appears very easy to do. It is a business which is a need of which is need of every individual. Uh, but honestly, the cost of failure and cost of doing business is very high in India at the moment, and especially in markets like Bombay. So I'm not against entrepreneurs. I am definitely all support people who want to come into this career and want to have individual salons. And but it is a very, very largely unstructured industry, and it's a mom and pop industry. It's here to stay. You cannot over engineer it. You cannot over professionalize it. That's for sure. And I have no intention of doing it, because that won't work. It will not work. So it's a great business to be in. It's booming. It will continue to boom post COVID. We've seen a massive shift in the consumer taking, just doing everything for himself or herself, and self pampered. And for that, it's the salon has become a go to place. But honestly, the way we structure businesses, when you want to run a large operation, it requires a different skill set. You can't run a business just being creative. You have to be commercially creative. I call it like that. So you have to make money. You have to charge for your creative fees. If you just do be creative and you do not do the modern ways of doing business, you won't survive. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the important part is to have what we talk about a lot here is the emotional intelligence behind it, to be able to navigate coming from a business side, working with creatives, like you said, and kind of bridging that gap between the two to be successful, which I think is probably something people don't really think about, because creatives, like you said, you can't just be creative. You have to be creative commercially. But in order to do that, you have to bridge kind of two different
Very true.
worlds.
Very true. And
Yeah.
I think I personally believe in, of course, some of big hairdressers have their own salons, but for the entire fraternity of hairdressers, the leader will always be a hairdresser.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
know, so that's where a bit of a disconnect happens. So and then egos come into play. Oof, oof, oof,
Yeah.
don't tell
Oh,
me
yeah.
about it. Huh?
Yeah.
But with us, we're away because they know that these guys don't understand the creative part of it. So let's understand the business part of it.
Yes.
There are no egos in between now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like yours is your area of expertise. So it's like it's hands off that area. Okay. So you've handled franchise operations, educational verticals, and global markets. What's the common thread across those roles that helped you scale?
I think the one common mantra which I've seen across all three is the last word which you said is scale. Because if you do not scale in such a vast market, and even if it's not a vast market, I mean, I was running 20 odd clinics in a small country like the Arab Emirates. Uh, so scale is the name of the game. It was then. It is even now more. So if you do not scale and if you do not do rapid expansion, you will not survive. If you over process it, over engineer your decision making, over evaluate it, I don't think somebody else will come and grab the space. So you will make mistakes, but then you can't keep repeating them. So you got to learn from that. But at the same time, pace and speed is of essence here.
What advice would you give to somebody watching? Because this is definitely one of the decoding success here, which is to not overthink about something, which is are we don't self-trust, or we don't trust in our teams, or whatever's creating this overthinking, over perfectionism. What advice would you give someone that's suffering from that in the business sphere? Like to tell them just take that step.
I think you've got to take the leap for sure. Today, thanks to the technologies that we are seeing, I get proposals from companies who would say that they would use data science and they would use this analytics and those kind of analytics to tell me whether my decision making of that location is sound or not. And I'll give you my recent example: the sixth salon which opened in Bombay. If they were actually still in my inbox, they said do not go there. Yet we went there, and today it's so. I would say that beyond a point, instinct and gut is very important. Of course, you've got to be a little rash. You have to do a 30%. You've got to analyze the space and stuff like this, location, neighborhoods. But the space that I run was rejected by three other people, and today it's the talk of town. So I think you have to take instinct and gut into account. And the other thing is, if you are making a mistake, you've got to cut loss and stop. But don't restrict yourself from taking those plunges.
So I guess the advice would be do a risk assessment, fair risk
Yes,
assessment,
but don't over
but
process it.
don't obsess about it. Listen to your instincts. And what are the clients' responses when they're saying, "Oh, the CEO is..."
Yes, I think they were kind of they get some of them. Oh, really? The CEOs come here and you're here, and some of the salons people. And the other thing, I love to know people's names. Well, I'm growing old, but I still kind of remember most of my workforce names. So when you pat them on the back, you say, "Hi, Neelam, how are you?" Or "Hi, Stella, how are you doing?" Or "Hi, Kajal, what's up?" Or whatever. Then they say, "Okay, guy knows your name. That means he cares for you," and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's building relationships, which is the
Very
core,
true. Very
which
true.
is
Very
the
true.
core. And my second question to that is, you were saying how basically you're talking about skills. It's like people skills. That's really what matters in these kind of creating an experience. What is the number one life skill, people skill you'd say everybody out there listening, invest in this skill?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be very open to learnings and education, whether they are technical skills. So our hairdressers, I mean, I've just come out from a meeting earlier in the day where we're nominating 10 of our hairdressers to one of the largest meccas of hairdressing, which is Vidal Sassoon. I'm sure everybody knows that. So we're privileged to have them come to India, and I'm putting in my best team there to learn further. And I keep telling them that even if you pick up one thing, never let you say that I've done everything in life. So even if you can learn one thing, you become a better hairdresser, go and do it. That's the first thing. So education is very important. There is no end to it. Keep learning every day. Don't be like me. I mean, if I'm maniacal in reading newspapers, don't become like me. But there's only if you do not know what is happening in your country, if you do not know what is happening globally, trends, etc., you will never be able to change business. You'll never be able to lead by example. So be passionate. Of course, it's cliched. Everybody's passionate. I respect that. But travel, educate yourself, go out. Do not fear. I think young India is very fearsome. I mean, is fearless. Sorry, and they travel, and I'm very happy to see them travel to exhibitions and beauty fairs and stuff like that. And they come back, with certain brands which are not relevant for India. You know, but yeah, that's when you tell them, at least you appreciate the fact that they've gone out and they're coming in with ideas, and they're coming in with and I always like to support. I mentor 5 young startups. That's my way of paying back to the industry, and I do it on my on my on my days, which are not Saturday or Sunday. Saturday, Sunday is busiest, so maybe on a Tuesday or a Thursday, I spend time in teaching these young guys the little things that, and I learn from them. I learn so much from them, and I'm able to give them that kind of wisdom that, okay, don't make these expensive mistakes.
This is my actually, to totally connect with that. My absolute favorite clients, and I'm putting that in like quotations, are always my students, always, because I am constant. If I can say anything, the most important thing in life is to keep a mindset of constant curiosity and learning, because once you think you know something, then it's like stop. Like this is where you'll stop growing. This is where you'll stop experiencing. But with students, that's never going to happen, because they will constantly challenge your perspective, your thought process, and give you a totally new idea. I've loved working with students. So I think mentoring and being able to mentor, because that's what I consider. Whenever I'm standing up there, they say, "Oh, you're a great teacher." I said, "No, I'm just mentoring you. I'm here as a mentor. I'm a resource. I'm a resource to you. You're actually teaching me things. You're teaching me. I'm just mentoring here." It's something
absolutely. I think it's the brightest minds, and the young people across the world, such bright people, and they know so much about technology. They know so much about, and that's what is making us prepare for the future. The way our salons are going to be for the future, for younger people to come in. She's not going to follow a place where a mom goes. She wants her independence. She wants to go to her salon. Is that salon sustainability? What is the journey? Are you using products which are safe? Are you genuine? What is your employee happiness index? All these things matter to the youngster. That's when she spends money.
Exactly. That's where she feels invested. That's where she feels seen, heard, and safe. That's always the fundamental for any relationship. And this is a creative relationship. Okay, so let's learn a little bit more about you. So the man behind the CEO, or actually even beyond the CEO, it says here. Okay, so who is Samir? And when he's not in the boardroom, or in this case, when he's not in one of your one of your salons, how do you unwind, and what grounds you?
Well, I think unwind for me today is home first, definitely. I think we've got a lovely home. My wife, who's an author, she brings a little, she brings that calmness to my hyper, because my days start early morning, then, but then she's able to bring that calmness to it. And she still wonders, what do you do on weekends? Weekends is there. I keep telling her weekends are the busiest days. I got to be there. So we've got something, a treaty which is signed of that. Couple of weekends I'm with her, couple of weekends I'm with the salon. We've pet parents, so I have a mad beagle. Oh yeah, high energy. So he's up at 6:30 in the morning. So that's when, and this is the best release. When you come back home, and this is all for all the pet lovers who are there. The minute you're back home and you just look at those eyes and they melt away,
I have
everything.
I have 3 dogs and a cat,
Yeah,
so
so
I totally.
I'm a very home person. I like to work with my people. I mean, I'm beyond the age of clubbing and stuff like this.
Yeah.
The once in a while you might let your head on, but I think for me it's very important to come back, unwind, relax, and prepare myself for the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're centering. This is your self-care.
Yeah.
And I totally understand the animals and pets, because I love mine. And if I were left to my own devices, I would have hundreds of them. But luckily, my husband reels that in quite a bit. Okay. Do you think the younger generation is changing the conversation around beauty, which you talked
Oh,
about quite a bit?
absolutely,
And how do you
absolutely.
see that influencing the future of salons and wellness spaces?
I think it's going to influence everything. It's going to influence brands. The first, I would say, is brand. The brand has to have a very high level of responsibility. So things like you cannot claim anything about whitening, about fairness, because that's what young people are not consuming. They're
Mhm.
not in it.
Yeah.
Inclusivity is going to be very, very large, and I respect that.
Thank God. Yeah.
There is nothing like gender. There is nothing like cultures or communities or castes. You're talking to one large mass of people and humans. So I think that is going to happen. Brands need to necessarily adapt to Gen Z
Yes.
or the millennials or whatever you call them, and we have to build products for the next 5 to 7 years. We are yet I mean, if you were to ask me, I would not launch products for 10-year-olds. That is unfair of me, but that's my individual take on that. Maybe the others don't think like this, which is fair. Uh, Salons moving into the beauty spaces, I think salons will have the spaces will have to get redesigned. Spaces will have to have a element of responsibility. The kind of products they use, their products will have to have all the features that I spoke about. There has to be responsibility towards earth, sustainability, the kind of material they use, the kind of workforce you do. So I think they are changing and why not so? Why not so? I mean, I'm happy to learn from them and adapt to the future for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, adapting and then also making sure that they feel that they are having some identity, they can attach their identity to it, because it's so very strong. Gen Z is so strong on what they represent, who they are as a being, as a human, not necessarily some projection of the outer self. It's so much them as they are.
No, we run a salon which is located in next to one of Bombay's largest educational universities. There are about a dozen colleges in the neighborhood, and the kids keep coming there for their hair and whatever. And you have to have somebody mature handling them. So while I'll tell you, you want a bus cut and you want you whatever, but hey, I mean, look, you're in business school. You tomorrow when you go to an interview, you will not cast an impression. So do not do this. You were in fashion designing, it's great. You're a young undergrad, go ahead and do it. But you're in business school, you can't have those kind of fades and cuts looking at you. That's not the first impression. So that's the responsibility part we got to do.
That's exactly,
But
yeah. First impressions, actually, that's a really key takeaway of Success Decoded is first impressions are really important. It's not about, and make first impressions in the first 7 seconds of meeting someone. And although we should not be judging based on external, it's the way our brains are wired. We are wired that way. So know that the way you can be more intelligent than that, and I guess above that, is that that's not how you want to judge people, but that is the way in which, unfortunately, you are being judged. So just be smarter than that. Keep it in mind when you're doing things.
no, I think you've got to do that because if you look, I'll give an example. I keep saying this to the business school kids who come to us for haircuts and stuff. I said, don't streak your hair pink. You're going to get into a management role. You're going to be a management trainee. If I were to come to business school and campus and placement, it's great. You're a very intelligent guy or very intelligent, but then you've not cast a positive impression on me with your streaked hair.
Let me ask you, because usually when we're in these kind of interviews in general, we're asking women in a traditionally non-female industry, for example, like construction, or which I actually have a lot of friends in that are women, or we've had people on this podcast. Now, this is the flip side of this. So this is a man in a woman's world, right? Or historically, let's say that, historically women's world. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that journey was like coming into that industry? Did you receive any feedback, maybe some judgment, maybe some criticism, maybe some comments? Please let us know what that was like.
No, I think, like I said, I have had the privilege of working with very, very smart women, and I keep saying that my success is owed to them. Today, I can proudly say 67% of our workforce is women, and they come from across all stratas of society and various roles. Uh, so obviously, you have to be able to understand them. You got to be able to relate to them, understand that look behind the lady who's working, she's a mother, she's somebody's wife, she's somebody's sister. She's got a home to go to take care of. She's got kids to, she's got food to cook. That's the Indian system is. So you're able to relate to them. And I think they've been able to happily embrace me because I'm able to reach out to them. I'm able to understand them. Uh, respect them. Very, very high levels of respect for every individual who works. More so for the women. I always, sometimes the guys tell me that you end up giving them always an upper hand. And, all your policies are women forward and not in favor of men. So, and, and the women end up bullying the boys. So I said, that's okay, guys, come on, it's all right. But then, for actually what a woman does inside a beauty room for a female client or a male client, uh, washing somebody's dandruff. Honestly, it sounds a little bit crass, but removing body hair takes a lot. So you got to respect for them.
Yeah, it is like
Respect that.
unsung heroes a little bit, I think we're
Oh,
talking about in this
absolutely.
industry. Yeah, it definitely is.
Absolutely right.
Did you receive any, so going back into that topic of what I understand in the industry, the beauty industry, the salon industry in India historically
Yes.
has been not a space just for women working in this, but also the ownership of those salons or the
Yes.
leadership, let's say leadership of the
Yes.
salons. When you took on this role, got into the industry, the beauty industry in general, did you receive any interesting feedback as a man in that position? Was it like anything you'd like to reflect upon and maybe share with us?
So I think women, people used to always get a little fear. Used to say, who's this guy? What's he coming into? I remember when I used to work for a company and we used to go to Singapore, and India was not evolved at that point of time. There were only two Indians who used to travel, and we used to sit in this huge conference with Australian and Singaporean and Japanese and women and talking about the world of beauty and wellness. And I wouldn't understand anything. And they would not look down, but you say, hey, what's this guy coming up and doing here? And then it would possibly, I would take a back seat and exit, or I would reach out and say, hello, I've come all the way from India and I want to know about this and stuff like that. So I think initially they had a bit of, doubt and what's this guy going trying to make a space? But then over a period of time, when they saw you being consistently there, and taking genuine effort in understanding the business and learning from and acknowledging that the woman is smarter than the man. I've always acknowledged that, and I think that's when they opened up and they warmed up a little, and it's okay. Come, we'll help you understand the world of beauty.
We'll help you. Let us hold your hand. We'll help you with the world of beauty.
Sure.
Okay, so there's been, I want to say a rise, because it's more like not even a rebirth, because this is the place of spirituality. I mean, it's like 4,000 years old of spirituality, but I guess it seems to be raising in our consciousness a little bit more. And especially when it comes to businesses, people are focusing very much on your emotional health and your spiritual health and things of that nature. Can you tell us some ways that maybe that you've taken steps in that direction, kind of support that whole experience that you're cultivating for that client, so that the client continues to build a bond with your company?
So I'll tell you, I think it's not a commercial interest that we've taken. We've taken this as a responsible brand, and we want to pay it back in our own way. We're part of India, and India is very diverse. So the new locations of salons which are coming up are in the so-called spiritual hubs of India, where we are witnessing this large wave. Young people are traveling, parents are traveling, non-resident Indians are coming back. Jammu is one place. Varanasi is one place, Prayagraj, where half of India descended. So what do we do as responsible brands? So like I said, in Jammu, we offer complimentary foot massage. We don't charge anything because the pilgrim comes back tired. She needs that thing. Mm-hmm. Or in Prayagraj, during the recent Mahakumbh, which was there, we were doing foot massages because it was it's a walk. It's a long walk, 7, 8, 10 kilometers. There's no way you can go there to take the dip. That's happening. I think places like Hardwar, which are very Rishikesh, Ajmer, we're opening the second one in Varanasi. So there's a lot of things happening. But yes, there is a commercial interest. But I think there is overall a way to contribute more to the society, more to the residents who are living there, and also helping the international spiritual seeker who's coming to these places. So we are taking steps, and we are not the only one. I think the whole retail industry is waking up to this genuine cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a genuine connection to your customer and your client as well, which is always great. And it supports your brand image, but also what your brand stands for. So that's very important. And everything that you seem to stand for as well from this interview. Okay, so now for something a little lighter.
Sure.
Say the first thing. This is your rapid fire. So the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, so don't overthink it, which I don't think you're going to do anyway. So here we go. Okay, one salon treatment you secretly love.
I think I love a manicure. I'm very finicky. I've got OCD, I need to keep seeing very good, clean nails because to me that's also a sign of the first impression
Yeah.
that you cast.
Absolutely. And I would say
And a head massage at the end of the day.
both those things. I would say
Therapeutic.
every man that's watching right now, please get a manicure because it is a great first impression. There's nothing feminine about it. It's hygiene and also first impression. CEO by day and then blank by night.
Well, a Netflix consumer. Netflix consumer. And every night I have to watch, not Netflix, any of the OTT platforms.
Yeah.
It just gives me another release.
No, I totally understand that. A trend you hope never comes back.
Oh, I think the whole madness on fairness, whitening, and on a lighter note, overplucked eyebrows.
Yeah, I would honestly like to second that. Like everyone is beautiful. We don't need to be going through that again. Like this is, I hope to God that never comes back. Okay.
So we do not do anything which is bordering on the lines of whiteness. So we don't have that.
No. Okay. The weirdest or funniest client request you've heard?
Oh, well, many. Let me tell you a very funny story. So we got this bunch of 5 people coming in, and they booked lots of appointments, and they said, and the guys at the reception called me, sir, we need some people because so many appointments are getting booked. I said, where are the guests? He said, just gone out for a drink. So we booked. And then we get a call back from the leader and saying, hey, when these guys come, say they don't have appointment because I don't have the money to pay for them. So, this is as weird as it can get. And we actually had to do that. We said, no, don't entertain them. Just weird.
Okay. That's definitely a unique one. If your leadership style were a hairstyle, what would it be?
Oh, well, I think it would be a well layered haircut. It would mean structured, yet it must grow. And it must cast a good impression.
Okay, fantastic. If you could trade lives with someone for a day, who would it be and why?
Well, I think, like every Indian, I am also cricket buff. And one guy who's always in the news is Virat Kohli. A couple of things that about him are his fitness levels are another level, his focus. And the nicer part of it is what I like is, you can shout at people and get away with it. So I would love to trade places with him. On a more serious note, I think, of course, the world knows Richard Branson. He has audacious dreams, and, you really look to see what else is he going to come up with.
To be inside that mind, right? Would be very interesting. Yes. One thing people assume about you that's not true.
I'm a very serious guy. I'm not at all. I'm a very fun-loving guy. I take jokes on me. I don't get bugged. Okay. And I'm very genuine, very real. People think that, he's a CEO. He's got that image around him. Can I reach out to him? Sure, why not? I'll give you a hug if you want. Yeah.
Fantastic. A brand you admire outside your own industry?
Well, it's a brand that I've learned a lot from, and I keep learning, which is the Oberoi Hotels. And I think I've really attempted to understand luxury from them, hospitality, customer experiences. They really stand for something which is great warmth and genuineness to the guests in the hotels, which if I'm trying to, take it to our salons.
Yeah, fantastic. I agree with you. It's a wonderful brand. A one-line mantra you live by?
One-line mantra?
Mm-hmm. One line.
In one line?
In one line.
Well, live and let live. It's cliched, it's old, but it's fun.
It's a good one. Yeah. What's not part of your definition of success, even if the world says it should be?
I think fame. I think you learn to impact things more than just be popular. Mm-hmm. If you can touch somebody's life and you're able to do that, that's far more important to me than,
This is very much in your line of no fear of missing out. It's also in mine as well. I'm like, okay, finish this sentence. People think I am blank, but actually I am blank.
I'm a guy who's full of heart, who's full of warmth, and who's ready to embrace anyone at any strata of society.
And so people think that you are?
People think I'm a tough guy. Okay. People get intimidated, but I'm not.
What is louder, your inner critic or your intuition?
Our intuition.
Intuition.
Any doubt.
Fantastic. Always. I think your intuition will never trust it. Learn to self-trust and trust yourself.
Very true.
Thank you for everything you share
Well,
with us.
thank you so much for a lovely afternoon.
you
Really
have-
enjoyed it.
you
You
have
got
really-
everything out from me.
Yes. You've really decoded success for us. You've given us so many things to take away from. I think it's very inspirational for everyone. And I know that there's definitely lives you've touched today. So thank you so much. And you've definitely impacted mine. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And please come swing by for a blow dry or a Keristas ritual. I never miss out on a chance of acquiring. And you coming to Juhu, so we're right next door.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Pleasure
it.
seeing you.
In an industry defined by appearances, it's rare to meet someone who leads with such clarity, conviction, and quiet strength. From managing territories to shaping iconic beauty brands across continents, Samir has shown us that success isn't always loud. Sometimes it's measured in consistency, culture, and character. Today, we decoded not just his journey, but also the unseen layers of leadership, the resilience behind reinvention, and the patience behind progress and the empathy behind every executive decision. Samir, thank you for sharing your story with such honesty and poise. It's been a privilege. To our listeners, may you walk away a little more inspired, a little more aware, and a lot more curious about what success really looks like behind the scenes.